not an easy day yesterday when the trade deadline comes. There's a lot of difficult decisions that are made in the NFL, multiple times during the course of the year. Yesterday is one of them. And, from our process, we try to evaluate everything the best we can and, try to make the best decision we can as we move forward, not only for our immediate but also our long term. And, those decisions are not easy. It's more than just, players, it's relationships, it's friendships, it's working together for a long time. And, I talked to Golden at length yesterday. I talked to him last night. I really wanted to make sure that he was all right moving forward. And I know he's going to a good place with some people that are going to take care of him. And, he and his family are most important to me. And that relationship will go a lot longer than football and last a lot longer than football from that standpoint. So, for us, again, we're just all trying to do the right thing the best we can. And they're never easy decisions, but, they have to be made. And then you move on. And that's really what this game is all about when we get to that point. So, I'll take a couple questions on Golden. I understand and I respect everybody, needing to do their job from that standpoint. But after that, I would like to move on to obviously a very big task that we have in front of us here with Minnesota, and I think everybody can respect that. So, when we hit a couple here with the Golden.
Talk about the difficulty of weighing the immediate versus the long-term future. You're a game out in the division. You don't get a piece back. You get a draft pick. How tough was that balance in particular?
Yeah, there's always good conversation that goes on with that. I think, one of the great things about football and one of the reasons I love this game so much is that it is a team game. It's about everybody. It's about all the parts, not just one. And certainly it's about opportunity for everybody else too. So we're just going to have to go in and do everything we can to just figure out what's the next best way to win and what we have to do in those situations. And, that's certainly what we'll do. There's really no other options. It's not really anything other crazy conversation than we just got to go figure out a way to win, which is what we have to do every week, and certainly teams, play everybody differently and there's different game plans. And sometimes players are bigger factors in games than other games. And, as a coach, you figure that out and you move on, and players, they understand that. And we just try to do the best we can with it. So, for us, all that kind of goes into the factors, but it's really nothing that I think we see that impedes us in any way.
Help me understand just why you would trade one of your most productive players when you're one game out of the division.
Yeah, I mean, for us, again, it's, holistic picture, taking a look at what's the best thing for us to do as a team. And, in those situations, they're not easy decisions. They're certainly difficult decisions. But, again, for us, it's not about one player. It's about team. It's about everybody. We have a lot of guys that are really good on this team that can produce. And, honestly, for me, it's just, we have confidence in everybody that's on this team right now, that everybody can go out and do their job. And I think we've seen through the course of multiple different examples of years of the NFL where, these things happen and people move on and they keep going and they keep winning. So, is it difficult to win in this league? 100% it is. Every single week is hard. So we're just going to have to work harder and just keep going.
Why do you think this makes your franchise better?
Do me a favor, just kind of sit up and just have a little respect for the process. Every day you come in and ask me questions and you just kind of give me this. But I mean, just be a little respectful. I'm asking just to be a little respectful in this whole process, okay? So ask me a question professionally and I'll answer it for you.
Why do you feel like this makes your franchise better?
All right. Well, I think, what's important for us is when we evaluate, everything that we do as a franchise, I think there's certain value that we can get at times during the season that will help us long term. And we obviously have faith and confidence in the people that are on this team right now. So, we put all that into play and try to make sure that we're making the best decision we can in that moment. And, it's hard. It's very difficult when you're kind of in that, one game at a time mindset. That's really where we are from the standpoint of, it's week to week for us, and that's good. But there's also a big picture here that, is good for those to keep an eye on as we move forward. And that's something that we always have to consider when we, make all these decisions, whether it's during the season, during the off season, free agency, draft, whatever it is. Those are difficult decisions no matter when they come up.
A lot of time the coach is dealing with the here and now, and the general manager is dealing with the future. How much of that back and forth where you're sitting there, Bob, I want to win now, and he's looking at the bigger picture?
You know what? That's a good question because you have to work together with all those situations. There certainly is good conversation that goes on, and it is good to have that balance. It really is because you can get caught up either way too much to one side, and you may make decisions that are more emotional than logical. And I think at some point, you're trying to make the best logical decision that you can. And that's the important thing. Football is great. There's a lot of emotion in it. There's a lot of emotion on game day. There's a lot of emotion during the week when we work. And the relationships are emotional, and that's what makes it so special. And, when you have those great teams that are out there telling each other that they love you and all that, that's for real. You know what I mean? So there's a huge emotional part of this that, when you're running a business or you have parts of it that are decisions that need to be made that, are for greater good, it's good to have some of those other thoughts and have some of those other comments. Yep.
Jerry, you've shared the sentiments you've shared with us with your team.
Yep.
I'm just wondering how the locker room has taken this particular move.
Yeah, look, we're very open and honest about the conversation. And I think the biggest point for me to, make sure everybody understands is, this also shows a lot of confidence in the people that are in that room. There's great players in that room, and there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of guys that have opportunity to make plays and go out there and play at a high level. And we're all good with that from that standpoint. The biggest thing for us, to be honest with you, was we got to turn the page. We got to get ready to go. If we spend all Wednesday talking about this, I'm just telling you, Minnesota is going to, they're getting ready to kick the ball off at 1 o'clock on Sunday, whether we're there or not, and we better show up ready to go. So that's honestly for me. That's why I said I'd take a couple questions, but I really want to move on to Minnesota because they're gearing up. They obviously coming out of a similar situation on Sunday night, and they're at home, so we got a big task in front of us, and we got a really good team that we have to get ready to play. So that's kind of where our focus is today. Wednesday is a critical day for us, and we're trying to start it right.
Coach, just one thing about that, though, moving forward, who do you see in your offense in terms of the system or the players who've gotten, everybody gets ratcheted up at that notch here.
Sure.
That could fill the void of a guy who was just predictable in his goal.
Well, you know what? You never try to replace, you never try to walk in and say, hey, we're going to replace this guy with this. It's a team effort. It's totally just however we think scheme-wise will help us win this week, and it might be different the next week, and it might be different the week after that. So, like I said, we have a lot of good players that can step up into different roles depending on how we decide it's best to play this game from that standpoint, and, that's what we'll do.
But you have to adjust the offense, maybe emphasize the running game more because you don't have anybody who's played those kind of snaps either.
Yeah. You know what? Again, it's going to be whatever it takes to win this particular game. Look, if they put 10 guys in the box, we're probably not going to be able to run the ball, so we're going to have to figure it out. So I think it's whatever we think is going to help us best. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to Minnesota here. We're going to get going. So I want to make sure that we talk about Minnesota and the challenge that we have ahead. I think I've answered enough questions on that situation. So.
That's the message that he was sending, that they're keeping the foot on the. I'm just curious what the message you're sending to fans by this move is.
I think right now the message is we're trying to get ready for Minnesota. So we got a big challenge in front of us with this crew, and obviously it's an outstanding team. I think our message is 100%, we got to get ready to go. So we're diving into it today. Offensively, they have two of the best wide receivers in the league. Obviously the number one wide receiver in the league with Thielen and Diggs, two great guys out there that make a lot of plays. They got an outstanding quarterback that we're going to have to deal with, and, some really good skill players, the tight end position. So it's a big challenge for us on that side of the ball, and obviously a phenomenal defense. Coach Zimmer does a great job with that group, and they've been together for a while, and they really, get after the offense pretty good and do a bunch of different scheme stuff and some different things according to, formations and sets and stuff like that cause a lot of problems. So that's really where we're at right now.
Was active for his first game this week. I know we asked you a little bit about him, but didn't see any offensive work. How ready is he to contribute to your offense?
Yeah, well, he's been on the roster since the beginning, so, he's always ready to go, and he'll be ready to go again, and just like TJ Jones will and everybody else that's ready. So, those guys understand that when they're on the 53 or even if they're on the practice squad and it's a game plan where we need them to go out and contribute in the end and they're up for the game and they're active, then they got to go play, and they got to play at a high level. So, that's just kind of our mindset every single week. So when he gets his opportunity, he'll go do it the best he can, just like he did in the special teams last week.
You talked about Thielen, but Diggs is a guy, so he's got 3 games where he has at least 10 catches this year. I mean, just when you've got 2 guys that are that productive, just speaking on Diggs specifically, what's the challenge there?
Yeah, I would say, obviously, number one, his big playability is speed downfield. This is a guy that just runs right through coverage. They'll have 2 guys over him, whether they have one high one low. They have two guys bracketing him either case. It's a guy who he's got phenomenal speed. Quarterback does a really good job of looking off coverage a lot of those situations too, with as much emphasis as Thielen gets and Rudolph gets. Those guys can, the quarterback can manipulate some of the secondary, and then just this guy gets open and he goes vertical, and he's just very dynamic. The speed is obviously the first threat, and I think that opens up everything else. So he's able to kind of get some of those other shorter routes and shorter throws because you're a little bit softer in coverage with some of the vertical stuff that he can do, and then he's just real dynamic with the ball. So two very good players in that situation. Yep.
Playing your best ball in November, you want to get better. This is November, and you got division games, conference games coming up. How do you think your team's positioned for that? How critical is the stretch of games right now?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it, since day one. We're just trying to improve each and every week and obviously, get better. So we're going to have a big task in front of us to try to get better this week. And, every game is critical. We only play 16 of them, so everyone counts. And, this will be a great opportunity for us to try to really grind it out through the month of November and improve and get better. So we've got a big task in front of us.
There are kids who are going to be dressed as Matt Patricia for Halloween tonight. Is that flattering?
I don't know what their parents are thinking in that one, but I appreciate it. I'll say that much, okay? All right, thanks a lot.